Thanks for watching Numbskull News. And today I'm talking about Arizona and Arizona State. They came out, they spoke, the presidents of those universities. And I'm not going to read to you verbatim everything they said. There's plenty of channels that have done that. I think pretty much everyone kind of gets the gist of it. They were kind of sent out there. What I'm thinking is they were sent out there because they don't want Klealkoff to talk because he'll Joe Biden the whole thing. So they have these two come out and they're supposed to give all the talking points of the Pac-12. Unfortunately for them, the Arizona president, he basically did that, but he threw in some caveats. You know, hey, this has got to be a pretty damn good deal. We already know all the numbers, right? We know the numbers from the Big 12. We know where we stand with the Big 12 coming in. Everyone's going to cool their jets through the tournament. They're going to let the tournament play out. This is the biggest sporting event in college sports, so no one wants to screw with that, especially Big 12 people don't. So they're going to just let that ride. And then after the tournament, Gonzaga's coming, and this has not, I won't say be confirmed, but when Stuart Mandel says, you know, it's basically a done deal, it's basically a done deal. This is a Pac-12 guy, and the Pac-12 has been trying to get Gonzaga for a long time. And he's basically lamenting that, hey, they're going to the Big 12. It's basically a lock. It's what I've been saying. It makes too much sense. But back to that Arizona president, you know, I mean, there's people calling him a traitor and shit now, which is ridiculous. You know, he's looking out for the best interest of his school, as he should. Now, what the Arizona State guy said, you know, hey, look, man, it's not worth us moving. We haven't talked about moving. No, they haven't talked about moving. They've talked about numbers. They talked what it would look like. They, you know, what do you think? What do you think Arizona State is talking to the Big 12 about? All right, the flowers, when the next comet's going to hit. What are they talking about? Are they talking about Aaron Rodgers possibly going to the Jets? No, they're not talking about that. They're talking about what life would look like inside the Big 12. That's what they're talking about. No invites. They're not talking about invites yet. They're not talking about any of that. But just basically getting the ground information on what they can expect if anything like that ever happened. But I thought it was interesting. Arizona very wisely has said, you know, hey, look, man, we like it over there, right? Looks good. I mean, what does Arizona do? What do they do the best? Basketball. What does the Big 12 do the best? Basketball. It's a perfect fit. It just is. And that president knows it's a perfect fit. And plus, they're tired of the Pac-12. You have two bad commissioners in a row doing a bunch of dumb shit. That's why they're in the predicament they're in now. Of course, he's like, God, at least, you know, they look like they got a guy in your mark who knows what to do and is prioritizing our best asset, which is basketball. To me, Arizona's being wasted in the Pac-12. All right, they got 3 teams in the tournament. I think Arizona State has a play-in. We'll see if they get in. But, you know, but a play-in ain't worth a salty shit. I'm talking about they got 3 teams legit in the tournament right now. Arizona, UCLA, and you hit USC. 2 of those teams are going to the Big Ten. They're gone. So most years you can count on Arizona and nobody else. If someone else makes it, great. In the Big 12, you can count on at least 6 teams getting into the tournament. And a few of them winning games and a couple of them making deep runs. It's going to happen every year. It always does. But just in case you're wondering, you know, why is your mark, you know, really just pushing this basketball shit? Why Gonzaga? Why is he focusing so much on Arizona? And why is Arizona focusing so much on the Big 12? It's in how these payouts work in the NCAA tournament. Keep in mind, it's $600 million that gets divided up amongst a bunch, and I do mean a bunch of conferences. Shit, conferences most people have never heard of. Just to be frank, when I looked at it, I was like, damn, I didn't know that was a thing. You know. But so there's a bunch of conferences, but most of those conferences have maybe one team in, their conference champion, and that's it. Some of them might have two, maybe three. The Big 12 is always very well represented, and this is why it's important. Now, this is from the Washington Post, and that $600 million, it's a fund, and this is explaining in very elementary school ways how it's doled out. So the fund is doled out using a complicated formula that rewards conferences for how their teams played over the previous 6 tournaments. The key component of this formula is the unit. Every game a team plays in an NCAA tournament earns 1 unit for its conference. Again, that's from the Washington Post. So if you think about it, if you get 7 teams into the tournament, you start out with 7 units. For every game they win and play another game, that's another unit. So for a team like Kansas last year or Baylor the year before, those teams got a grand total of 6 units just themselves for that 1 year, going through every level of the tournament all the way to the championship round. And Big 12 teams constantly are in the Final Four, Elite 8, Sweet 16. They're always there. And this is why this is the most successful conference out there, is because all the representation you get within the tournament, how many great teams you have that get high seeds or at least moderately high seeds and get premium matchups to where you can win a game or two and move on. So if you look at a 6-year stretch, that's what that is, six tournaments. So for a 6-year stretch, there's no doubt the Big 12 has the most units and it gets the biggest payouts of that $600 million pool. That's why you want to add Gonzaga. They're in the tournament every year. You want to add Arizona. They're in the tournament every year. The more bids you have, the more units you have, the more quality teams you add that can win games in the tournament, that's more units, that's more money. And that's one of the ways you can assure yourself of a higher payout with your basketball. Not to mention having that many great brands and consolidate them into this conference, that elevates your brand overall. You're talking more corporate dollars coming in forms of advertising to the Big 12 as well. A future TV deal where you separate football and basketball and get a separate TV contract just for your basketball, that's just one component of how you make more money with your basketball. There's a plethora of ways to skin this cat and get so many different revenue streams that have never been thought about before or even attempted before. And the Big 12 is in a unique place and has a unique set of power within basketball because they are the brand in basketball that they could pull this shit off. Arizona knows this, and it would behoove them to come to the Big 12. It just increases their brand. Now, outside of Arizona State, I think we may have learned something also about Utah. Now, this comes from the Monty Show. I like the Monty Show. I don't know how many people out there know about the Monty Show. They're definitely worth checking out. Very entertaining guys on YouTube. They're based out of Utah, and they cover mostly Utah sports, but they talk everything. I have to give them some credit. They talked about Gonzaga going to the Big 12, months ago, and it basically said, yeah, that's going to be a done deal. And Stuart Mandel says that now everyone's taking it seriously, when I think they kind of had that before. And look, I'm a little dumbass channel, but yeah, I had that as well. But for whatever credit, it doesn't matter at all. I also have to credit them because, they said that they had some inside sources with the whole Ion Scripps thing, and that Ion and Scripps, really didn't have a big deal on the horizon with the Pac-12. And now I doubted their sources. Then they had the freaking president of the company come onto the show, and they talked to him, and he's like, yeah, we're not discussing anything huge. Now, I still think they may have discussed a smaller partnership. I never said anything about anything huge. But that's neither here nor there. They do their due diligence, you can tell. And I bring that up because they said on their show that according to their sources, which, apparently they have a few for whatever you want to take that for, um, that Utah has basically told the Big 12 that they don't see themselves as an academic fit within the Big 12, so they're going to hold off for now, which is strange to me because academically they're not hot shit. I know they got a good medical program there. Their research facility. They're academically they are a good school as far as how highly they're rated. Not that highly. And if you want to stay where we like this association with Stanford, what if Stanford goes to the Big Ten? Then what? What if Oregon and Washington go to the Big Ten? I, where's your prestige then? What are you then? And as far as academic standards, like we're not an academic fit for the Big Ten, all of that kind of talk right there, just straight arrogance. I mean, were you an academic fit in the Mountain West? Because that's where you came from. I mean, let's don't act like Utah was some big shit back in the 30s. No, 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 no. You were a nothing school and also ran a G5. And look, I see them as no different than TCU. Both of them came out of the Mountain West. Both of them won bowl games as G5 schools that they had no business winning. At least that was the national narrative of it. They've earned their way and earned a spot to get to the Power 5 level. And once they got there, both teams have been successful. They've actually built something there. And both of them are highly, highly respected and should be. But I'm looking at it as, okay, where did you come from? You came from the Mountain West. And if you think the Big 12 has a bad educational record, all right, the Big 12 is the Ivy League compared to the Mountain West. And you just came from the Mountain West not that long ago. As far as I'm concerned, you can take your ass back to the Mountain West. An academic fit. Do they have a better medical facility than Tulane? Are they a better medical school than Tulane? Or are they have a higher standard of education than Rice? Those two are group of 5 schools, right? Either one of them would join the Big 12 tomorrow. So don't talk to me about educational fit. And don't talk to me about, well, they're afraid of losing money. Losing educational dollars because your football team plays for another conference or your basketball team plays for another conference. That makes no sense. And I have seen zero evidence that anything like that is the case. Now, all the sports media have basically threw their hands up in the air when it comes to talking about educational dollars. AAU schools, research schools. We know there's huge grants, hundreds of millions of dollars that go into these schools for those things. I've not seen or read or heard anything to suggest that Utah would all of a sudden lose their grant money if their sports programs go to another athletic conference. Haven't heard it. Haven't heard anything about any school losing AAU status because they're going to go to a different conference. All of that shit makes no sense at all, and it never will make any sense. And if that's all it takes for a research institution to lose grant money is for their football team to play another set of schools, if that's the case, then your whole system is worthless political propaganda and bullshit. But I have not seen, like I said, I've not seen one shred of evidence that is actually the case and that would actually happen. Do I believe that reason? No. I think the people who run Utah are incredibly arrogant, incredibly stuck up, which is shocking to me, coming from a school that just a decade ago was a Mountain West G5 also ran piece of shit, just like just Essentially how they look at the Big 12. And having your nose that far up Stanford's ass, if that's what it does to you, that's ridiculous. I mean, Arizona has it right. There's nothing wrong with putting education before sports, especially when you're talking about a school, a university, of course. But sports does generate a lot of money. You do have student athletes. You do want to take care of them. You want to provide them with all the opportunity possible. And a lot of this money does go to bettering your overall facilities, your campus, for all your students. It's mind boggling to me, the arrogance of some of these people. And if that's how it is, truly, truly, stay the fuck out of my conference. If that's how it is, really, stay the fuck out of my conference. Be gone. All right, give me the Aztecs over your sorry ass. Even though the Aztecs aren't worth what you are, I think they would be a far better addition. The fans just seem, there's no pretentiousness there. They don't have their head up their ass. Give me Memphis, give me Boise State, give Fresno State, give me any state. if that attitude is that pervasive, where you're going to make a dumbass business decision, okay, all right, I give up. If that's how it is, stay your ass where you are. And then when you are abandoned by the people you stayed for, then you can kiss my ass when you want to show up here. We already got the best brand out of Utah. That's what you can do with yours. And that's if that's the case. I don't. That's a what if. I don't know that that's the case exactly. But, look, I get it. They may have some loyalty to the Pac 12. That's commendable. All right. Just 10 years ago, they were just another G5 school. But they got it. They got their shot. They made the most of it so far. So they have a lot of loyalty there. Got no problem with loyalty. Just don't try to kick the Big 12 in the taint over your loyalty. That's all I'm saying. Let me just put this out there, my quick predictions for the end of the tournament. Once the tournament is over, Gonzaga comes into the Big 12. Arizona. I used to think Arizona needed to come in with somebody, like they were scared to do it on their own. I think they're getting fed up. I think they kind of know the writing's on the wall. All these people already know what the TV deal is. They're just trying to find out, okay, what's the split? Is it going to be equal? Or is Oregon and Washington going to do their janky shit where they want the majority of that? Or are they even going to sign a grant of rights anyway? You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of janky shit that can go on that can screw Arizona bad. And it's already a lousy TV deal. They're already not going to have as much money as the Big 12. And that's just the baseline, right? Your TV contract is just the baseline. Then there's corporate advertising. There's what you can get out of the NCAA tournament. There's what you can get out of the CFP. There's all kinds of ways you add on to that money. It's being estimated that the total payout for the Big 12 is going to be over $50 million per school. Why? Because they own the NCAA tournament. They get a shit ton of those units, and over a 6-year period, they get the best payout of any conference. And combined with getting teams into the college football playoff, that's more money. Getting a team into the freaking national championship game is more money. And now you're going to have a Big 12 combine in Cowboy Stadium. That's more money for the conference in total. So there's all kinds of ways. It's not just what that TV contract, that's not just your only money or revenue stream. You can tack on a bunch of stuff to that and build it up. And like I've said before, all right, the Pac-12, especially leaning heavily on streaming, there goes your corporate advertising, at least a chunk of it. Because you're not going to have the same exposure. You're not going to be able to monetize your exposure. Not when it's Apple, not when it's Amazon, Forget it. They already don't get enough teams into the NCAA tournament to get a major payout from that. CFP, I mean, they don't put teams in the tournament, so they don't put teams in the playoff. So you know your baseline is supposed to be the TV deal. It's not supposed to be your max. So because of all that I just said, I do believe Arizona after the tournament, you're going to find out that they're coming, and it wouldn't shock me if Colorado joins them. Because why would Colorado, implement a general studies program, make some of their emission standards a little bit lower? And I hate to say it like that, like they're okay. The dummies can come here now. No, it's not. These are still smart kids, but you just make it to where it's easier to come to your school if you play high level football or basketball, because you're not playing football and basketball to become a next great lawyer. You're trying to be the next great defensive end or point guard. And you definitely don't hire Deion Sanders. All right. It's like you're trying to get the fires of this once great football program, trying to get them roaring again. Why do that if you're just going to stick around on a sucky TV deal in a sucky conference? You're doing that because you're looking at jumping to something better with more opportunity, and you got to compete to do it. Arizona State, I mean, look, it may take them a while to discover, why are we just sitting here? Why are we still here in this conference waiting for the next team to jump to the Big Ten when we can just take our ass someplace where we'll at least be appreciated? So after the tournament, Gonzaga, Arizona, more than likely Colorado. And I would be ecstatic with that. If they want to throw in a Washington State, I would not complain. Anyway, that's all I got on that. And I will be back with some other bull crap later. Bye.